the red lights on. Well, in the corner.
Red lights on, oh my gosh. First episode of Being More Pineapple.
Hola.
Hello.
Hello.
So I think we need to start off by introducing ourselves. So my name is Rob. I'm the Weller Hair Guy over on Instagram. Some of you may already know me, but we might have some new audience members. So I'm a hairdresser. I work for a company called Weller, and I'm an educator. So my sort of role in this is to sort of try and find a way of being able to teach myself something new about things I don't really know much about.
Yeah, I'm Stu. I'm the younger one, so there is a difference. I'm the better one, but anyway. So there's 6 years between us. I'm Stuart Howes on social media. I'm only on Instagram at the minute, and then my other account is wrists_apparel. At the moment, I am working for a costume company based in Bristol, but I am on furlough because of the pandemic. But on the side, I'm also a CrossFit coach down at a place called Kettle CrossFit. And then during the pandemic, I've started up a little wrist wrap company called Wrist Apparel, which is sort of my spin on what I haven't seen in the fitness apparel side, and just putting my bit on it. Just creative, trying to find a space. And then, like Rob said, using this as a vehicle to learn new things and understand different viewpoints rather than just my quite narrow, in a way of thinking about things. But it'll be interesting just to see where it goes.
I think this sort of thing that we're trying to do is really a bit of a hybrid of a few different things that we may have seen already, and doing it in our own little way. So like some of the things which I've taken inspiration from is Lockdown Parenting Hell with Josh Widdicombe and Rob Beckett, and Getting Curious with JVN, so Jonathan Van Ness, along with stuff like podcasts like Happy Place. I think this is, for me personally, is going to be a really good sort of outlet, even if it's just to be able to sort of catch up with Stu as well and just see how the week's gone and things like that. So we're hopefully going to be having this as the first one in a series. We'll try and keep on top of being able to sort of still catch up with each other, if nothing else, for that week. But we've got a few sort of guests lined up. Some people you may know, some people you may not. We'll get to sort of find out a little bit about what they do and then how they're being able to cope with some of the challenges which their job brings for them, and hopefully inspire everybody which is going to be watching. Yeah. Don't know where to start. You're going to be able to find us here on YouTube. You're going to be able to catch us on Instagram as well as Facebook. And then hopefully we're going to get it published into podcasts. If you do feel that you want to be able to catch up again, listen whilst you're doing the housework, in the kitchen, driving somewhere, then you've got us, our docile tones in your ears when you're getting on with your business. So always remember, follow at Being More Pineapple, and all one word in most cases. And then if you do want to be able to reach out, then you can either contact us through social media, leave in any messages in the comments, or you can get in contact using our email address, which is beingmorepineapple@gmail.com. All the links will be in the comments below. Yes, queen. So, right. So I'm going to start off. Actually, I thought a good starting place really is to find out a little bit about Stu, because I think he's got a lot. I know he's already said there's 6 years between us. He's 6 years my junior, so he's a little bit younger than me. But I think that he's had a lot of life experiences so far, which I find really sort of inspiring, and I think it's a good story to be able to tell, along with some of the journeys career-wise, which has now brought him to the place where he is now. So let's get started, I think, is if we go back in time and we think about some of the, maybe asking the wrong thing here, spilling the beans. What is your funniest childhood memory?
But one of the funniest things there's a couple of things which I could think of, was it was one time we were getting new mattresses, and Dad was at work, Mum was home with us, and we were pestering Mum for ages, being, "Oh, Mum, can we just slide down the stairs?" But we're in an old house, and the stairs aren't majorly wide like they are nowadays. And it was like you walked in through the front door, and it was just the stairs,
the stairs.
solid walls. And Mum was like, "Yeah, all right then." So we get all of our mattresses, and we're all sliding down the stairs. And then all of a sudden, Dad walks in and is like, "What are you all doing?" And then me, you, and Johnny are just like, going down the stairs. And then Mum all of a sudden goes, "Way!" and comes down the stairs with us. And then we were just like, "Oh, there we go. We're all doing this now." And I think that was one of just the funniest, randomest nights ever, because it was like we were supposed to just be taking the mattresses to the back door or something, but we ended up having a good half an hour, and then it just landed that Dad walked in from work and was just like, "All right then."
And then
anything to do with the stairs was quite funny, because we always used to sit in the basket and go down the stairs for some reason.
like Home Alone style.
I love it completely. And it was like for some reason, we just enjoyed sliding down the stairs. We sound so special.
A special kid in a sleeping bag sliding down the stairs.
Everyone else is outside playing.
Until the one time that it's either you or Johnny, at the bottom of the stairs was a radiator, massive radiator, and then there was the cordless house phone. We were fancy. We had a cordless house phone, and the Johnny went down, got to the bottom, hit stop on the last step. Then he propelled himself, didn't headbutt the radiator, headbutted the plug of the phone, and ended up with a golf ball on his head.
Oh yeah, it was huge. But he always seemed to have that knack of it, because another funny one, which when you look back, it was really funny. So we lived in Orwell Green, and we had Willsbridge Hill next to us. And
which is in Bristol, for anybody that doesn't know. Yeah.
So, and it was like, we're on the edge. So we were in Orwell Green, which was between, there was a space in between called Willsbridge, which then had Caincham, and then a back road to go to Bath. So there was just this weird, like, green area. And what you could do is you can enter it from sort of halfway in the housing estate we lived in, and then you come down this track and all this. Or if you went the main roadway, the road was like that, and it sort of was at a massive incline. So Dad one day was like, "No, come on, we'll go down the main road." And from my recollection, because I've not got the best memory, Rob was adamant. Rob was like, no, we can't do this, we can't do this. So we went that way anyway. So there's me, Dad, Johnny, Rob, and we're going down the hill. And as we're going down, you just see our youngest brother on his little trike thing, hurting. He just goes past us all. He starts flying, and we're like, "Pull the brakes!" And he goes, "I am!" And it gets louder but further away. And then all of a sudden, you just see him clip the curb, hit the road, and just slide out. Thankfully, there was no cars. But it was just the sheer funniness of the fact that you just saw our younger brother with his feet on the pedals, then all of a sudden his feet dragging the floor, and the bike just weaving all over the place, and you just hear, "I am!" in a really slowly, and he just flipped. And then I can always remember Rob being like, "I knew we shouldn't have gone down this way. I knew. I told you, Dad. I told you." And then thankfully, Mum was still at home, so she was just about to go to work, and Johnny's there like, put him on the sink, and Mum was looking after him, and then we all were just like, "Well, that was a waste. That was a." It always just seemed to be that one of the biggest ones is whenever Johnny got sort of hurt for some reason. They're the big ones I sort of remember them.
Let's not let him watch this.
No.
At least for this episode, anyway.
At least we remember it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, with our youngest brother, like, there's 2 years between Stu and Johnny, and then so there'll be 8 years between me and Johnny. And for how long was Johnny like 12?
Oh, 12, 11 till he was about 21.
Yeah, for ages. He was like, our younger brother's like 12. It was always the same age.
Well, the worst thing is, it was easy for me because he's 2 years younger than me. So you just go take 2 away from whatever age. No, all the way through. I've got a younger brother. How old is he? 11?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't even know who he is.
And then it's just a good talking point of just being like, "How old is he?" I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's something now. But now that we're getting into when we're getting older, you just try to forget the age. You're like, "Yeah, he's a couple of years younger than me." You just don't specify anything. You just sort of try to be as young as possible.
I think when it comes to age, it's always funny because, like, I find myself in conversations with the job that I do. I go obviously into salons and teach different salons how to be able to do different techniques, or about the colours that we use and things like that. And there's sometimes I'll say, "Oh, they're about our age," to like one of the staff members, and they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't realise we were like the same age." And then I was like, yeah, what, you're in your 20s or something? And then they'll be like, yeah, I'm 21. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 37. No,
Yeah.
we're not in the same age. We are not in the same age. And cultural references.
Gone. No.
Who's
There's a
Elle McPherson? And I'm like, you remember that episode of it when in Friends with Elle McPherson, and they're looking at me as though to say,
what program?
who? Friends. Yeah, I've got plenty of friends.
No. You've missed that one. So you asked me the question, what was my favourite memory or funniest? What's yours?
What's mine?
It doesn't have to be anything related to us.
Well, it sort of is, because it still comes up in conversation now between me and my wife.
Oh, don't tell me. Carry on. I think I might know what it is.
The time when we said, "Oh, what shall we have for dinner?" And then my youngest brother just kind of says, "We haven't had sausages in ages. I really fancy sausages." Stu then turns around with, "We had sausages last night for dinner." We haven't had sausages in ages.
That has been going on for years.
Yeah, it always gets us. And then the one time we managed to put everybody off when we were having a barbecue, and the advert on the TV, the commercial on TV at the time was for food safety, and the song was "When Will I See You Again?" And people were getting food poisoning because they weren't cooking their food properly. So yeah, and I managed to put everybody off having a barbecue for that year, I think, until the weekend, and then we had a barbecue.
Yeah, completely.
And cooking a whole chicken on the barbecue. Do you remember that?
No, but I can remember Gramp teaching us that you can put your hand through fire.
Yeah.
And always to this day, I'm like, I can remember when Gramp told us this, and you just
yeah.
the flame like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever seen a dirty trick? That was always another one he used to do, wasn't it? Ever seen a dirty trick? Hot spoon on the back of your hand.
I'm 31 and I still do that to Mum. Every now and then, if Mum's walking by, I'm like, Mum, do you want a dirty trick? And Mum, so Gramp is Mum's dad, and he would always go, oh, my father used to do that. Gramp used to do that all the time. It's so bad. And it's like, he's still with us. It was also like when we were younger, you'd go catch, and you'd have a mug of tea, and he'd either throw the mug at you or not throw it at you. And it was just that thing of, what are you going to do to us?
And it's not just a case of throwing the mug. It was, he's one side of the room and we are the other side of the room. Bear in mind, this is at the time when none of us had phones or anything like that. You know, the most technical we got was a Nintendo. Do you know what I mean? That was it, or a Sega. That was that is technology. That was us. Yeah, he'd be like, Robert, and then all of a sudden you turn around, it'd be like a cup coming towards you. Yeah, and then you just go, pick me another.
Yeah, just straight from there to you, and that was it.
Yeah, finished, and off it goes. Yeah,
it was all those little. I think that was more for me. Like I said, there's certain things I can remember because in a way we've either got an image or it's a collective memory that you piece together. But then there's all those little things which I can remember, and I got those feelings and those sensations of being like, oh yeah, I remember. It's like silly little things, like when our cousins used to come over and stay with Nan, because Nan used to live round literally our house here, and it was round on the next road. And they'd turn up, and we'd be out in the main road of this cul-de-sac with a massive blue rope which you tie up trucks and stuff with, skipping.
Yeah.
Just doing stupid things like that. Like I said, it's not all the big grand occasions of like, oh, when we went for Christmas, when we did this, when we did that. I think another one of my favourite memories was Nan and Gramp used to take us to Haven, sort of like every summer. Haven holidays all the time. See a big gorilla staring down at me. There you go. And it was like just those memories of like, it would be me, my younger brother, our three cousins. Rob would always have the pull-out bed in the caravan end. Nan and Grant would have the bedroom. But then in the small little cubby room where there's two singles and a fold-down bed, it would be me and Johnny top and tailing, Libby and Michaela top and tailing, and Tom on the top. It must have looked like we were one of those clown cars where people just
keep coming out.
Where are all these kids coming from? And the journeys to down there, we'd be in like one rover, one little car, and it was like, the police are coming, and then you would just see three people just disappear into the footwells. And you'd all be sat there like that. Yeah, nothing here, nothing's happening, nothing. We never got stopped, but it was just the stupidness of being like,
Historical crime, Stu. I think we better stop talking.
Oh! Blame Nana Grab. It's not our fault.
Yeah. What are we gonna call? What we're gonna call the people that watch? Are we gonna call them viewers?
Oh.
We'll go with viewers. It might evolve. We'll see how it goes. But what
leave a comment down in the section of what you would want to be called.
Yes, there you go. Put it in the comments, and then you can decide your own fate. But at the moment, you're going to be called viewers. So I think the viewers will come to sort of see as a little bit more about us anyway, and some of our quirks and things like that. So during this lockdown, obviously you live in Wales. I live in England. So it's slightly different, but you know the general thing is. Yeah, we can't go anywhere. So, what are you watching at a minute?
I have been on a bit of a Netflix binge, but I've been circling and just doing the same programs over and over again because I'm trying to not get too sucked in that I'm focused too much on Netflix or other streaming services.
Unless Netflix want to give us Netflix for free.
We love you. So I've just been on repeat watching sort of like old comedies or old shows. So like for some reason I've been watching Vicar of Dibley back to back. Like,
oh wow!
Because it's so simple just to watch. So I'll be sat working or organising or doing something, and I'll just be watching that. Or I've been going through a bit of a Studio Ghibli phase. Princess Mononoke, up on Poppy Hill.
Yeah.
When the wind rises, all of those types of things. And then I'll go to an extreme of being like, we'll watch a back-to-back series of RuPaul's Drag Race, and then do Canada, and then do UK, and then do all of them. But then I've gone, like, I just started watching again Stranger Things. I also do love a good murder series. So like I've been watching the Epstein one. I'm a Killer, the one about the Ripper, the Northerner, who was watched all of that. So it goes from like really light-hearted things to quite dark and dangerous. I would like everyone's going, oh, watch Bridgerton, watch this, and I'm a little bit every time someone does that, I just don't want to watch it because of the hype. So I'm like, no, I'll just wait. I'll leave it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm sort of the same. Like it keeps coming up on our home screen about watching Bridgerton, and I do actually quite like the look of it. Yeah. It's definitely. And this is where, like, I get people all the time. I've not seen Downton Abbey, none of them, nothing like that. Never watched it, so I've got no point of reference for it. But when you see like trailers and stuff like that, Bridgerton seems a little bit more upbeat, like a quicker tempo, which is normally my sort of thing. But I've been watching a series called Blown Away.
Yeah.
So I'm really basic. Like my TV watching or streaming is just like I watch Drag Race, every single version of it. I watch stuff like Blown Away, which is glass blowing, but Bake Off for glass blowing. Yeah. So you can binge it all. 10 episodes. It's second season. Just finished watching the second finale of the second season last night. But I love it because it's not, even though it's a game show, like it's a game show. It doesn't feel too game showy. It's already done. So, but yeah, I just keep watching stuff on Disney Plus. I'm looking forward to when they launch the Star bit. So you get things like Blackish and Desperate Housewives and all of these other ones, which I've really missed not being able to have because I don't have Sky anymore. To be able to watch on there. So I think it'd be good to be able to see in the what you watching. This week, I think could be a nice little one to be able to drop in as well.
There is a couple of things on Disney Plus I want to watch. I still haven't watched Mulan. I know, Mum's.
I've not watched it either.
I'm a little bit. We had a conversation with me and Mum about this, and it was we ranked all the like live versions of the Disney movies. Yeah. And my personal preference. This is my personal opinion. You can have a go at me, whatever. But the ones I've watched. It went, number one was Cinderella because that was the first one. It was amazing. It was brilliant. Then it sort of went, what did I say? I think it went like Lion King, Jungle Book, and then sadly, Aladdin is at the bottom. Beauty and the Beast was in between Jungle Book and Lion King, because those two, and then I had to watch Beauty and the Beast twice, because the first time around, that was like my very first Disney movie I can remember being sort of like affected by, or sort of like, because Little Mermaid came out 2 years when Johnny was born, but I was born in the year of Beauty and the Beast. But for some reason, Beauty and the Beast stuck with me, and I loved it. So when I watched it, I was one of those who had that really high expectation. I was like, this isn't what I ordered. What is this? What is this you talk about?
Return to sender.
Yeah, but then when I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, no, actually, this is blooming good. But then when I got to Aladdin, I was a little bit like, oh, they've tried too hard. Oh, they've tried too hard. Whereas like all the other ones, and this is where I want to watch Mulan, and I've heard mixed reviews, whereas like Cinderella, it was beautifully done, like the dress she wears, the actual glass slippers, everything. It had its own style, but it referenced it so well. But because I think it's a classic tale, there's so many variations of it, it just sort of fitted in, and it was just one of the best ones. It wasn't oversaturated, it was whimsical enough, and so that was just a...
I think with Mulan as well, it's a retelling rather than a remake.
Yeah.
The story does change a little bit because they don't have like the same characters in there and stuff like that. So,
which I'd rather that than them saying we're doing a remake. Because when you heard the word remake, or you then immediately assume it's just a like for like.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if they were just we're doing a live version of it, then you turn around and be like, oh, it's a version of it more so.
Yeah, yeah. Like when they did Alice in Wonderland and then Glass and all of that as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Always good ones.
So that is what we're watching. Let us know in the comments below what you're watching, and you might inspire us, and we could be talking about what you're watching next time. Exactly. So let's jump into a little bit about you and your career, because now you've, like you say, you've got quite a few things on the go at the minute. You're doing your coaching for CrossFit. You've got your own brand, which is Wrist Apparel, and then you've also working for the costume company as well. So taking it back to when you were at school, you, like all of us, did your GCSEs and things like that. I mean, how did you get on from your GCSEs?
So going through GCSEs, I can't really remember that time. I'm really bad. Like I can remember really like mundane things, or like really pivotal moments. Like it's one of the two, or it's a moment I can sort of like remember because I feel it, and there was like a smell and all this stuff. So I can remember school being all right. Yeah. Like there wasn't anything major, which I can be like on this day, but I have got some fun memories of it. But I can remember being super stressed when it came to exams, because I'm not academically, I don't lean more to academics. So when I was doing my maths, doing English, science, like I love science, but all of that I was a bit like, but when it came to the creative side, so my art exam, music, all that, DT, loved it. So when I came into doing my options, I chose art, did all that. So I knew my path was going to be more the creative side, going all through that. And it wasn't until I had, there was a few teachers who really influenced me in just sort of doing what I fancied. And one of the very first one was my form tutor, who was also your form tutor.
Clayfield?
No, not Miss Clayfield. She was the head of
year. Oh, head of year, Miss McGregor.
Miss McGregor was our art teacher and our head of our form tutor. Yeah. And she was like, just the simple things of, she was like a little bit hippie-ish. She lived on a boat, so she had a cork on her keys, and she was pivotal in just sort of like, she wasn't too much of anything. She just sort of was like, yeah, be you, do what you want to do. And then another couple was my Italian teacher, Lisa Talesi. She was this, and I mean this in the most amazing way ever. She was an Amazon. She was this. For me, I'm only like 5'6" on a tall day. And she was huge. This woman, she was proper Italian, but she had this fiery red hair. She was curvy, and if you did something, you knew. But her classes were so much, she would like made us all passionate about it. The way she went about it was insane. And then there was another, and these two seem to be just redheads. So my DT teacher, Miss Emile Crease, she was a fiery, passionate DT teacher, and she like always used to have like one of those braids, which always went around. So her hair, you never saw her hair down until we went up to Italy for a school trip, and she took it down. We're like, what is this? Who are you? So then, them three, and especially Miss Milky, pushed me to then. They saw what I was doing with my work, and then it went sort of into a designy element. And it wasn't until I was leaving secondary that my Miss Milky said, "Have you thought about going into like textiles or all this type of stuff?" And because we were in like there's about 4 other schools around us. We were part of like like connections. So when you got to sixth form, you could then choose options from other places and travel to different ones.
Yeah.
So then I started going to SBL, so Bernard Level, for textiles with Miss Taylor, and that just opened that, like, my mind just went bang.
Yeah.
And that just sent me like a whole other loop, because like when I was in secondary, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go into art. I'm gonna be one of these. Like, and then it never really flourished into anything. But then when I got into textiles, my mind exploded, and I was like, what is this? What is going on? And then when I went through that, that's when the application and the thought of going into fashion textile design happened, and that's when I went straight into uni, because I didn't do a gap year. But I always make
gap year.
Or I did, like, there was a course you could do just before going on to I can never remember what it's called, but it was like a foundation year before you went on to the course, just in case.
It's like an entry one, isn't it?
Yeah. So I never did it, and I always made the joke that, and this sounds sad now, but back then it was like a rarity to have a man or a male come into like a very. In that time, it was like there was a lot of women. It was all female, and there was like a couple of us. So I was like, I probably got in more so because I was a token, and they were like, "We've got a boy!" And I don't like my work. When I first started, I was like, "How did I get on here?" When I'm looking at, there must have been like so many other people who were like a million times better. So whether that be the truth or not, or my skill or whatever, and then there was 2 courses. There was fashion, which was all more about illustration or like. Whereas I was so intrigued with the textile side that that fitted me better. And then 3 years of just experimenting, having fun, dealing with like people who actually had similar interests, in the sense of they wanted to be there. We all were creative, and someone was like really like the polar opposite, but we understood and like appreciated one another, which is something which I found really helpful, in the sense of like we can all have different opinions and have different tastes, but I can appreciate how much work you put into that if you appreciate mine. So like one of my closest friends through uni was Sophie, and her 3rd year collection was absolutely beautiful. It was deconstructed tailoring, where she did marble printing and did all exposed, and it was all very graphic and sort of like fitted. Whereas then you went to mine, and it was like neon coloured knitwear with lycra and print, and it was full on. And she went, "Stu, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't like it. I don't personally like it, but I appreciate everything, and I understand how you got there and why you got there." I can remember the day she said that, because what we used to do is we'd have critiques with our uni lecturers every week, but then we'd all did it ourselves. Like we would all be like, "Can I have 10 minutes with you?" And then we'd all like help one another and say, "Oh, have you tried this? Have you seen this?" Because the more you have sort of input, sometimes you can see different sides. And she said that when there was like 10 of us all stood there, and they all just went, it was like a melodrama. They all just sort of, you could just hear bumholes just go, and everyone just freeze. And I went, no, I appreciate that. I'd rather that than you stood there going, "I love it," and then going, what are you doing? And I think that's where it all led.
I don't think that I think we appreciate, especially when, like, obviously being a creative myself, is I don't mind if people don't like something. Like, that's fine. Like, it's subjective. Your taste and my taste might be different, but what I don't want is for you to be shady and start saying things about me, my work, or anything like that when it's unjust. Like, if my technical ability is not good, then I will be able to say my technical ability is not good on this. I'm not confident with this. So let me know what critiques you've got. Let me know your feedback, and I'll be able to then improve it. And I just think there's no need in this life just to be that shady. Like, just, you can be honest without being hurtful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was like there was this guest lecturer, and he had his own fashion brand, and he would come in periodically, and his name was Satyen, and he was this, and I'm not being funny, like I'm short, but he was like 4'11", and he was this
with platforms.
and I want to say he was of like an Indian background, and he was very flamboyant, and he had like his way of working was a brilliant. But he was straight down the line. He was very cutthroat, but in like a really sassy way. So I can remember one time, and this is where like we understood why he did these, because he wanted to create reaction to make you really think about it. Because sometimes you can just be like, well, why would you? And you get that throwback of a question, be like, well, what would you? No, sometimes you need someone to be like. So he can remember Amber, we were all sat in the room, and he sat there with all of his garments on. He sat there, crossed his legs, got his notepad, and Amber's there explaining her knitwear and going, oh, and I've laminated some knitwear. And she went, stop, show me, because I need to see this, because it's making me want to throw up. I need to know what it is. And we were like, oh God. And it literally, and then he was like, oh no, yeah, I get it now. And it was just that like shock. And then he also said to one of my other friends, I can't remember who exactly it was, I don't know if it was India or Emily, and he said something along the lines of, this ain't Pocahontas, honey. And we were like, okay. And then he would like really go at you to then like force you to find out why you were doing it.
Yeah.
Because then like one of our other lecturers, Jo, she was very direct. Like she made people cry.
Yeah.
And it was very uncomfortable sometimes. You were just like, stop now, stop. You need to stop. Yeah. The girl's crying on you. But when you look back, she actually was really making you fight. And the people she respected, or the people she was all like got on with or got it, was the people who turned around and said, no, I understand what you're saying, but this is what I'm doing. And she would like actively try to unhinge you to then make you really figure out why you've chosen that or why you're doing it. And if you can come back with an answer of going, well, I've done this, this, and this, and this is why I'm doing it, she would go, brilliant. But if she could find that weakness and you went, she'd be like, straight in there. I think that was another part of actually sometimes we all like to be praised and we all like to have that thing. But actually, from my experience from uni, there was a lot of times when you were forced really hard into questioning why you do things. And I think that's sort of been a theme which in my later years, as I've got older, has really become a theme of being like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Really, really figure out why you're doing it. Because like, I expect when you were in your early 20s, you were like this. Because I can remember being like, looking back retrospectively, being a bit manic in going, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be here. And it like clouds your sense of like purpose of why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then big changes happen. Because like, I can always remember looking up to you and what you did, because you had sort of like, for me, I know it probably wasn't clear for you, but for me looking at you, there was like a clear path of where your life and career was going. So like, I'm going to tell you what I saw and what happened. You sort of went to like, figured out hairdressing, you went to college, you learned so much and like progressed and did everything. Then you were like, this is the road I'm going. You went on the cruise liners and did all that, and then you came back, and then were in salons and this, and then you progressed and progressed to the stage where you are now. It's been 10, it was like 10 years the last time I probably like there was a big change, and then it's been the last 7 years where it's been an even bigger change, but I always felt that your direction in a career was you knew the way you were going, whereas for me, I've always felt a bit like, I don't know if that's how you see it yourself.
No, I mean, I must admit, I was lucky to find hairdressing the way that I did. But I went through like working in a different salon or doing something different every sort of 2 years. I think the longest I'd ever stayed anywhere was about 3 years-ish, until I got into doing this job. So I've been with Wella now for like 10 years. This year is my 11th year.
Wow.
Yes, I know I've moved around with slightly variations in role because of maybe the area that I've been covering, but essentially I've been doing the same job. I'm still going into salons, doing education, getting people involved with new product launches, new ideas, new techniques, business building, things like that. And it's just that natural evolution. But yeah, for a long time, I didn't know whether I wanted my own salon, whether I wanted to work for somebody else, whether I wanted to be a session stylist, whether I wanted to do photographs, whether I wanted to be theatre. I just didn't know. So everything I was doing was just a case of trying to find my way in something which I knew I wanted to do, but I just wasn't quite sure how I was meant to do it.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that the pandemic has definitely brought out is like this wanting and understanding of life is funny. You get this balance, work life, home life, get it, that's fine. But actually, when it comes to work life, I'm on furlough this time, which on previous like lockdowns and like in 2020, I didn't have any furlough time or anything like that. But this time on this lockdown, I have been furloughed. And what it has made me realize is that, yes, I'm working for the company that I'm working for. I'm doing really good things and I enjoy my job. I love it. Like I love seeing all the different people and I love the things that I do. But and this is not trying to sound sort of big-headed, but the only way that I can quantify it for myself is, what's my legacy? What have I got?
Yeah,
I've got a trophy downstairs, standard place for the trophy in the downstairs toilet, to say that I got Technical Educator of the Year and things like that. But actually, what have I got to be able to sort of give back? Yes, I give a lot to people and sort of do lots with regards to inspiration and things like that. But what if for whatever reason I didn't go back to doing the job that I'm love doing, like what am I going to do? So this is what's now inspired the whole Being More Pineapple. I want to be able to sort of have this way of being able to still have something which is then going to be able to keep me focused, because as like you, we need something to focus on to keep our attention. Otherwise it can very quickly unravel itself, and all of a sudden we're looking into the corner of the room and all of a sudden it's 20 minutes later and we're like, what am I even doing? So this is really a project in my mind that I wanted to be able to do with someone else, and I just thought there was no better person to ask than you, because I think we are very like-minded in our own ways, but there are some things that we do really sort of deal with situations in a very similar way, which I think allows us to be able to maybe bounce off each other quite well. But I do really think that the whole Being More Pineapple concept is about looking at a pineapple, right? You go to the shop, they come in different shapes, different sizes. The leaves that come out the top, longer, shorter, wider, thinner, that is the crown of the pineapple. Everybody wears their crown differently, and this is something that I want to be able to sort of uncover in all of the episodes that we'll do, is how different people like to be sort of perceived and how they want to be able to show off themselves. So this is like the social media side, effectively. How do you want to be able to live your best life? Everybody's skin is slightly different. Might be lighter, might be darker, might be thicker, might be thinner. But ultimately, once you get through the skin, hopefully you should then be into that nice, sweet, juicy center. And that juicy center is life. Like, this is everybody's experiences and what makes you, you. Some are bigger, some are smaller. It's about being able to get underneath and find out different people's different life experiences to be able to get a better view on the world. Because I've always been a very sort of strong believer that everybody can have a different point of view. Whether you want to take that point of view is completely up to you. And we know, especially looking at recent current events, like in America and all over the world, really, but there isn't really a right or a wrong view. But the wrong view is when it starts to become detrimental to people, and people maybe not getting on. Unifying to be able to sort of go against something which morally is okay or good or fine, or there's nothing wrong with it, I just think is a bit is wrong. So yes, there are right and wrong opinions, but I think everybody's still entitled to their opinion. So I want to be able to find out what how everybody works. And then finally in the center is the core of the pineapple. We don't eat it, we don't do anything with it, but what does that do is it gives it stability. And I think all of these life experiences then create the core, which is then something that we can then sort of learn from, because in my eye, the core is like people's fight or flight response. It's that internal thing where it's like, this is me. Yeah, I can change all the other things. I can be bigger, I can be smaller, I can be more hench, I can be slimmer, I can be, go and have sunbeds or go on holiday and be darker skinned or lighter skinned. I can do whatever. I can change my crown. But the core you can never change. And that core only builds through experiences. And that is definitely one thing that, parenthood, the pandemic, just life experiences in general has taught me, is that anybody can be who they want to be.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you are black, white, Chinese, brown skinned. I don't care whether you're gay, straight, non-binary, you want to identify as a snowman, whatever. You're either a nice person or you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And I know everybody can have their ups and downs, but you can generally tell if somebody's core is rotten. And that's the person I don't necessarily want to, connect with maybe as much.
Yeah. I think the other side is there's that people get confused between having opinions and then sort of voicing them. Like, we are all allowed our opinion, but as I've been told before, opinions aren't facts. Like, feelings aren't facts. At the end of the day, we all can have our opinions and our feelings, and we will all react differently to an opinion or a fact. So, like, the old thing is going, if you text someone something, it's just words, but it's how you react to it and how you perceive it. And like, that's one of the biggest trigger words, is perception, because that was how you perceive it. And it is very much like that, but then at the same time, it makes you go, oh, for goodness sake, why do I have to perceive it a certain way? But at the same time, I think also people get confused between being able to have conversation where I may not agree with you, but I can respect you enough to know that I can believe this, you believe that. The only reason we're chatting is because we have a difference, but once we walk away from each other, is your life going to bother me? Is my life going to bother you? No. But for some reason, a lot of people get tangled up with that whole thing of, no, you will believe me and you will live your life this way. Whereas actually, there's how many billions and billions of people in this world, and no one person lives it the same way. So when people turn around and say, oh, you should be normal, or this is the right way to do things, I was like, actually, stop yourself. If everyone did it the normal or the right way, we'd all be robots. None of us would have our own personalities, and that's what makes the world go round. We inherently have different opinions, and some of them are stronger than others. But it's just the fact that, like we've seen in America, and we see even in like our country, we're a lot smaller, but we have division hugely. Is just the levels of extremity, and it's that thing of going, a lot of it is a block of wanting to know or wanting to understand, and there's a fear behind it, and a lot of fear is because they don't understand. And I think that's something hopefully we're moving forwards with. But I think through this pandemic, you're seeing that extreme sometimes get further. So down to the people who are anti-vaxxers or don't believe in masks or don't believe it's real. There's moments when you go, okay, you have your opinions, but when it comes to facts, so it's like mum's a nurse who works in the hospital. She comes home and she said, oh, we've lost this person, we've lost this person. If you're there believing that this virus isn't real, I beg you to go work in the hospital. Because you will then you will understand why we believe in what we believe, and hopefully it would then help you. And I think that's a theme of just life in general. The more you can absorb, or the more you can just open your mind to allow other thoughts in or other opinions, doesn't mean you have to accept any of them, but just the fact that you know will then help you to develop and then see things from a different view. So sometimes you might hear one thing one way, and then you've got to stop yourself and go, wait, let's look at it from a different angle. Like there was a really good documentary on Netflix, and I think it's called Disclosure, and it's about trans representation through film.
Yeah.
And when you're watching all of it, it's all movies we all know and watch, and you're like, oh my goodness, like I didn't see it that way because I don't live that life. But
Yeah.
because I've opened my mind to it and listened and learned, then you go, oh, actually, yeah, I get it now. And then there's all those, like, because we're in like Black History Month, it's learning why there's the anger, why people feel the way they do, and learning and accepting that that's what it was, and we have to make a difference and support and do all these types of things. And like like you said, we've gone from one thing and now we've gone into another thing. But I think everything just proves that everything is so linked that you can't get away. It's not black and white. Yeah. If it was black and white, then we'd be very boring, be very segregated, we'd be very like black in the olden days. No, we want this blur, we want all this color, we want all of this.
We want everybody to be more pineapple.
We want everybody to be more pineapple, and I think that's the thing. And I think this is what will be interesting in talking to different people through this, is just hearing those different accounts of like, I had this experience, or I had the same experience as you, but I dealt with it differently.
Yeah.
Like, you might be getting colleagues on or people in the same industry. You've both done the same things in theory, but it'll be interesting to hear how you dealt with it and how I'm going to see if I can get some people who I went through uni with.
Yeah.
And see how our ways we dealt with it. Because on the face, you can be like, oh yeah, it was the same thing. Actually,
it really wasn't.
No, and that's where this whole, like you said, when you said being pineapple, I was like, oh, I get it. Because I've heard that phrase before, and I think you said it to me a long time ago for something else. And when you said it to me, I was like, yeah, I get it. I get it. And it makes sense. So it's just like, that's what I hope we'll be able to do. And then it just sort of, like, we've just gone on real tandems and roundabouts. And we've gone from like, what was your funny moment in your childhood to now, like, we're talking deep.
Yeah.
But I think that's just natural with how the world is and how conversation should be, and sort of like not being afraid to go to those places and feel those things and understand those things and question it. Like, there's so many things that I don't get and I don't understand that I'm constantly wanting to know. Like, I live in the centre of Newport, and there's so many cultures around us. One day, once we're out of this pandemic, and I've been saying this for years because I've lived here for over 10 years, I want to go and talk to the people and just be like, because we've got Corporation Road has got every nationality on it. And I mean, it literally, we have got blocks of different parts of the world on that road.
Yeah.
And you see them all the time, and it would just be interesting to have those conversations, be like, just talk. Just talk. I want to learn, I want to know. And I think that's where people, when you look at the Trump and all that type of stuff, that's where like it just stops, because it's just like, they're so inward that they don't care. Yeah,
exactly.
But that's just my processes as I've got older, of just thinking about things. And
well, nevertheless, viewers, you will probably get moments of this throughout the whole of the series, but we will, like with everything, I think all the time when we were growing up as well, we have moments of deep, thoughtful mindfulness, and then all of a sudden somebody farts and we all started laughing. So or the laughing part, that's even better.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's laughing part. Okay, so let's bring it back to where you started off. So obviously you went through uni, you started off, you've had a few different jobs with regards to retail, getting some visual merchandising in there, things like that. You even did, the thing which I think people will find maybe a little more interesting is you got into teaching, but you also still managed to do your like clothing, textile bit, as well as then incorporating something completely different as well, which I think as kids we did all the time anyway, but it didn't ever cross sort of my mind that it was going to be something that you were going to do, whether it be as a hobby or anything like that, was then when you were doing dance as well. So you managed to get to a point where you had your you were doing your dance, you were doing your costume designing, as well as working retail as well. So how did that, at that point, how was that for you? How was your experiences through that?
Well, it's always been trying to figure out where I sort of fit. And when I try to explain my jobs and what I do, it's not clear cut, and it's a little bit jarring to be like, so I'll be down coaching at a CrossFit gym, which by people's standards and society standard is quite a macho, strong, we do fitness and
Yeah.
But then if I turn around to you and said, I actually work for a dance costume company based in Bristol, you're like, how did you get there? So I've always done with my jobs, just sort of gone with how I felt, and then what opportunities sort of come. So like I said, when we left uni, I went straight back into retail. I was like, I need a job, I want a job, I need to fight 9 to 5. Then I did a year and a half working in a shop. Then I got the job with the company I'm with now, which is Stone Boutique, dance costume company.
Yeah.
Have a look on Instagram, Facebook, it's wild. I did a year and a half there, and I just felt a bit, because I was in that manic mode of being in my early 20s, I want to be the top of the ladder. I want to be really ambitious. It sort of stopped me. It stopped me from actually enjoying the job. So then I went into retail again as a visual merchandiser, did that for like 2.5 years, absolutely loved it. Made some really good friends who I've still got now. And on the side, I was doing a bit of dancing, teaching with some of the local ladies who've been a part of the freestyle world since they were little kids. So that was just nice to have that balance. And then after a few years of working the retail and VM, it just dawned on me that I was like, I'm not truly happy here. What really made me happy? And that's when I went back to Stoned, and we've been there with them. I was a home worker at first, and then I've actually worked within the office. And it's been about 4 years, 4 or 5 years now. And now, like, I've got the coaching side of it, which is another aspect. And I think what within my role at Stone was before the pandemic, was we'd have out workers and they'd come in and I'd teach them how to do the job.
Yeah.
And then when I'm down at the gym, I'm teaching people I'm coaching people through movements. And I think it dawned on me that I do enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
I do enjoy helping someone progress, whether it be for my gain or their gain. It doesn't really matter. Like, I like to just help people. I'm not there to be like, I did this for you. No, I want you to do it for you. And I think my whole career, if you want to call it one, has never been a straight line, but there has been common threads through it. But like, it's always been a struggle till I got to like 25, where I was manic. My mental health was mental. And it wasn't until I got to 25, and I think for me, age has just mellowed me, made me see things clearer. And for me, like you said previously, you're looking at it as, what can I do to like leave your legacy, or what can I do to make a difference? And for me, it's just getting to that stage where it's like, what can I do to make me happy?
Yeah.
Which isn't just like, I'm going to be smiling every day. No. I want to be happy in the sense of, I'm happy with how things are.
Yeah.
I'm happy within the situation. I'm happy with that. And like right now, because of the pandemic, it's making me really question it again. Because like, I'm furloughed from my costume job. The gym has been shut, so we've been furloughing back and forth. When we're open, we go back. We're back on furlough. All this jazz. So it really throws into a question. Like I've said, I'm not going back to an office job, or I'm not going back to a retail job. I've worked hard enough, done my time to then figure out this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
But it's then now trying to figure out how to do that and what I want from it.
Yeah.
As much as I could, like, I will go into any job and do it 110% and give you my all and do everything I need to. But then you get to a certain age, it's like I'm 31 now, and you think to yourself, okay, I've done 10 years of pleasing other people. Let's just be happy myself. So my career has been up and down. It's been tumultuous. It's been sort of loads of different things. But I think the thing I'm getting from it now is just do something you enjoy. If you don't enjoy, like Mum always used to say, if you don't enjoy it, change it.
Yeah.
And it could be something as drastic as career change, or doing this, doing that. Like I know Johnny, our youngest, has taken another massive change within his life because he's now training to become a nurse.
Yeah.
When he was in school, he was going to be a musician.
Yeah.
And then he was going to go travel the world and wanted to go to China and Japan and do all that. And then it changed again. And then his trajectory has been very polar opposites.
Yeah, from one side to the other. Yeah.
Whereas like myself and you, we've sort of stayed within the same realm of do that. But for him, and this is why I try not to worry too much about what other people do anymore, because I think, well, actually, what you did for your life and your career is your thing. And you've had your behind the scenes things. I've had mine. And now when you look at Johnny, he's had his. And like we see it from the outside, but you never see, like you said, the core and you know the inside of it all. But it is I think it's just one of those things. When we were younger, you always led to believe like you have to do this, and then you get married, and then you get a job, and then you get 2.4 children, and then you live in a big house, and you become the boss. And this, when actually, the more and more you go, the more you realize we're all just muddling along.
Yeah.
We're all just like falling from one thing to the next, trying to figure out. And it's very rare to find someone who's got that like pinpoint one thing that they've always known or they've always wanted. But because of society, we're led to believe that, oh, actually, no, that is the right thing to do. And actually, the normal and right thing to do, I love that, is to do whatever is for you, because we're all made for different things.
Yeah, definitely.
What's through my experience and my journey through my career is the more you just do what you enjoy or you're passionate or you're inspired to do in that moment. It doesn't mean it has to be all the time. Because like a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd be a CrossFit coach. But because I found out that I do enjoy it and that I love the learning side of it, and I do love the other side of it being another part of my personality and who I am as a person, I love it. Like, I never would have thought it. And I don't think if you'd asked all my friends back in secondary, being like, what do you think Stu will be doing in 10 years' time? I don't think they'd think I'd be in this position.
No, definitely not. Definitely
no way in hell.
I think the common sort of synergy we have anyway is the fact that you mentioned it before. It's not about helping people to turn around and say, I helped you.
Yeah.
It's not the one-upmanship. It's I get gratitude. If somebody succeeds and I've been able to help them in some way to succeed, I am happy for them. Like that gives me the satisfaction, not then to be able to turn around and say, well, I helped you with that. It's not like that whatsoever. And I think, again, with people's perceptions, that can then force people into thinking, well, you're willing to do anything. You're willing to make sure that you've got all your cards stacked so that you can do what you want to do. And I just think that is such like a narrow-minded view that somebody can't just be happy for being happy's sake, or you can't just help for being helpful. Like
there's that old thing going, if I'm not like, if you want to support someone, like you would give something to someone and not worry about yourself, because you know deep down that actually it doesn't matter whether you've got that thing or you've given them that knowledge. There's a lot of people who turn around and like keep everything hidden away and like, no, I'm not telling you any of my secrets. But actually, regardless if they know the secret or not, it's what you do with the secret. So one of the favorite ones was, there's this CrossFit athlete called Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, and she is known for being a real gymnast pro in the sense of she can do all the pull-ups and everything. And like she said, through her career, through going to the CrossFit Games every year, they were like, next year you won't be here. New younger ones will come, and the next year it's all the same people in the top. And she goes, I give people my secret. I tell people how to be the best at this, but they don't want it.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to do it, then I've got nothing to worry about. So that's a parallel I do of going, well, like my friend, me and Anna, when we were working in Talbot Green as VMs, there was a job going for a visual merchandising regional manager. And we said, come on, we'll do this together. And our store manager said, are you two all right doing this? They're like, you're really good friends. This might put between you. And me and Anna, she is like just heaven on earth. She is like the new age Aubrey Hepburn. And she looks like her, and she's just one of the sweetest people. And we both understood that it didn't matter. It did not matter if I gave her all my stuff and she gave me all of her stuff, because we both went at it in different ways. and we saw different things, and her experience were different. So we helped each other through the preparation, and we were working all week together, and then in the evenings we were calling each other, messaging each other, trying to help each other to do this. And it was that whole idea of like, I'm not worried if you get it and I don't.
Yeah.
So then, like a year later, there was a job going she then got put into an ATB, which means she went from a customer assistant into a management role journey.
Yeah.
And she then got the opportunity to become the visual merchandising manager in one of the stores.
Yeah.
And she panicked about telling me. And I was like, she sat me down and we went for a coffee, and she was like, sure, I've got something to tell you. And I was like, what's the matter? And she's like, I'm the visual merchandising manager. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Well done. You. And she was like, but I knew you wanted it as well. And I said, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm so happy that because your path and your journey has led you to that. And I can't take away that you're bloody brilliant at what you do.
What you do.
You're an amazing person. Why am I going to be sitting here and be a bit of bet and be like, oh, he got it and me. Because at the end of the day, I know I can still do my job as well as I do. And it just fit. And I've never been bitter about her ever getting that job or anything like that. But I understood that my legacy is knowing that I did everything right in my soul, to know that actually, when I look back, I can go, actually, I've got nothing to hide. I've got nothing that I'm worried about. I know that she may have got that job and I didn't, and I probably wanted it so bad that I would have done anything for it, but actually it never was meant to be, and it might have been a good thing. So I'm not worried about looking back and being like, that's like when you talk about legacy and all that stuff. My side of it is I just want to be able to look back and say I did the best thing at that moment for myself and others. And like I said, I don't mind giving you the shirt off my back or giving you something to help you progress, because I know deep down it doesn't matter if you had it or I had it, because I know what I can do.
Exactly.
Like an ego, arrogancy, or anything like that. That's just knowing myself.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's okay to be good at what you do and not be good at what somebody else does.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very much like, what can you do? Are there some things that you do that we can make better and help you with? And are there some things which you are never going to be able to do? Like, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're never going to be able to do it. I'm not the sort of person to then go, right, well, you need to do it until you get better. Yeah. Like, if there is something really drastically, and it's not just about a belief, it's about you cannot do it, then I am like 100% like, do not try and force it, because you will never do it. No. But if there is something, if it's just like a belief, oh, I don't like doing that, well, why? Maybe you've not found the right way. And that for me is where I get the satisfaction out of being able to help people. To be able to move it to more like up to date, you've created now your own brand. So why have you created Wrists Apparel?
Well, for the longest time I was making them as gifts. So a wrist apparel is making wrist wraps, which are there to help support your wrist when you're doing heavy lifting, whether it be an Olympic lifting, powerlifting, anything to do with a weight where you're holding it in your hand and you need that extra support so that it doesn't fatigue you too much, i.e. like a knee support, just to give you that extra support. So that's what I'm doing. But
so this has come from the whole CrossFit side of your journey.
This never was a thing which ever came into my mind. And for years I'd been making them as gifts for people, because I've always had fabric lying around, or I've always walked past them and they go, oh, that would be good for someone. So I was making them as gifts and stuff, and then all of a sudden it dawned on me, because I was looking and being like, oh, I can't see. And then it just dawned on me, I was like, I don't see this in anywhere in my realm, in my little bubble. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just go for it. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, oh, well, there we go. We've got to do this now. Like, why not? So it was more based on, like, I had a real clear vision because of my creative background. I had a real clear understanding of how I wanted to produce it, how I wanted it to work, how I wanted to go. And I'm happy with how it is now because of what I've got and what abilities I've got, but I can still see the next steps of it, because once we get out of the pandemic, then the resources will come a lot more. So I'll be able to shore it up and make it really, like, if you look at my Instagram, it's very graphic in the sense of it is the image on a white background, and it's very clear. There's very strong imagery of me wearing them, all that type of stuff. And yeah, it was just about trying to bring some sort of personality or a bit of like color and a bit of vibrancy and a bit of me, which is a little bit of everything, into it. So it's not just sort of like, but using sort of some technical aspects of my own experience to know, okay, it needs to be soft, but it needs to be strong, it needs to be flexible, but still needs to be able to be worked, it needs to be able to be washable, it needs to be all these things. It was just an amalgamation of like, someone said to me, oh, can you do? And I was like, well, I can do it. So why don't I just make a business of it? So like at the moment, there's 3 main collections. So if you go onto the Instagram, you'll see. And like I had a very clear journey of like, I want to do it this way. And people, while I was building it, were saying, can you do this? And I was like, it's coming. Just let me just do what I need to do. Well, it was just, I just need to get the process. So it was like, I did the block collection, which was all one color. Then I've done the flip collection, so one side is one color, one side is the other. Now I've gone into the print collection, which is using printed fabrics.
Yeah.
And I had that vision to go, no, I believe in it enough that it needs to go this way. So it's there. And I think that's just sort of where it is. Like I believe strong enough in it to know that it's not going to be a 5-second wonder, oh, look at this, it's amazing. It's going to take time because of my experiences working for the costume company. They've been in the game for 10, 15, 20 years, all told, and they're only now reaping the rewards of being the business that they are.
Yeah.
And it's just being aware, like yourself, you've been doing hairdressing since you left school, and you're at the position because it took time. And I've just been, everyone's like, how's it going? I was like, well, it's moving. So that's the main thing. It's actually organic. Yeah, it's just moving. Like, I'm not worried. Like, at the moment, I'm so lucky and grateful that like I've got the furlough scheme so that I can take the money which I would be using for petrol money to drive over to Bristol to then reinvest into this.
Yeah.
Build a stock and do all this type of stuff. So like I said, mine's very reactive at the minute. Like things are slow because gyms are shut. Why do you want to buy something you can't use? So I know, but I'm building myself ready to be like, once we hit, here we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's just sort of,
from when you first sort of got the idea, like you said you started making them as like gifts and as presents. So from that point when you sort of got the idea of to maybe turn it into something more than just a little, I'll do this for you because, you know, I think you like it.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to be able to sort of like sort your branding out and all of those sorts of things? Because like you say, if you go to wrists_apparel on Instagram, you'll be able to see all of Stu's branding, how he's got the format and a layout of all the images and stuff like that. But how did you come about getting all your branding sorted and things like that? Where did the name Wrists come from?
Well, it literally, I think I had the idea of the way I want it presented very quickly, because coming from my design background and all that type of stuff, I've learned that sometimes the simplest things can be the most effective and you need to make an impact. So I can remember watching documentaries and going through uni and everything. And there was one session we did and it was talking about marketing, and it was like, they talked about Topshop. They named themselves Topshop because they wanted to be the top shop. Or New Look. What do you go looking for? A new look. So they're called New Look, that type of thing. So that always resonated with me in the sense of that. And then when I was having a conversation with some friends from the gym, because we always do like a Saturday coffee club after the morning session. So we all get together having a chat, and I was talking about to them, and I said, oh, I've got a couple of ideas. And I sort of said, one of them was just like wrists, because it makes sense. It's something you put on your wrists, like sounds a little bit. And then the whole idea of like, you would then call them My Wrists, or when you were doing the collections or everything, like as I'm writing up the, putting out the print collection wrists, it just sounds funny. There's one called Llama Wrists or Milk Bottle Wrists.
Yeah.
Or just it sounds like it's a little quirky. It's a little bit like tongue in cheek on some of them. Like they're just little nuances and stuff like that, which just have come through just exploring. But like I said, it actually didn't take me very long to just go, no, this is what I want. I had a clear vision. I knew exactly the journey I wanted to take with it. And it wasn't like, I can remember back in uni, they would always like, process. You need to try different things. And you try this. Where actually I just went, no, this is what I see. Done. And the amount of like comments which have come back to me saying, it looks so professional. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm using an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I've sent pictures to people of my setup where it's just two massive lamps on a box where
Yeah.
I've taken a picture, putting it into like the computer to then edit it, and it's just something so simple. And like the idea of when you look at the pictures, you swipe across and you can see the sections of the wrist wrap as it goes along.
Yeah.
And that is it. And I was just like, well, how else were you supposed to show it? And like I can't compute like not doing it that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was something quite organic, but also at the same time, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I
Yeah.
just did it because I thought there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, it does. Marvelous. So
Do you see it evolving as well? So you mentioned before you can see the next thing, what the next thing is going to be. Obviously, once we start to get a little bit more traction on being able to, go places, get lockdowns lifted, and all of that jazz. So, what's the next step in the wrists adventure?
well, the next, this is a bit exclusivity, is where I did the print collection. When I was in uni, I did my own, and when I was the junior fellow after, so I did uni, and then I was a junior fellow working with the third years and the second years and all that type of stuff. I created a collection of my own fabrics, so I was able to design and make prints. So it was always something which I was interested in. So I think the next logical step is staying within, because it's just me. I can't be going like, I want to do this and all this and bring all this other stuff in. I want to keep it quite narrow to wrist wraps, but then I want to make a collection where it's my print designs.
Yeah.
So it's something really, really unique. It's not just a stock fabric bought from a shop or off the internet. It's actually something that I've put a time into, and actually it's a part of me which is going out. So like I want to do, the next stage will be, I'm in the process of finding companies which can do my fabric printed, so that I can actually have meters of my fabric which I cut up and do and make it that way. And then the next stage will be me to then make a new collection and do the whole process of creating a new print designs, all that type of stuff from another source. And then, I think, like I said, it is a very late, because it's just me, and then I do get mum sat there ironing things just to make it quicker, because I can't stand
He's like the master ironer.
like, well, can you just iron this? And I just dump this massive fabric out. She's like, oh, okay. Well, she works.
All straight lines. What does it matter? It's all straight lines.
So I just sort of was like, I think that's the next logical, or in my mind, the next stage I'm going. So like at the moment, I'm just trying to build levels of stock ready for when we go back out. And I just do massive pushes of like trying to get people engaged. So like one of the other big next steps is, I've always had this thought in my mind about giving back. So what I want to do is, with certain colors, they represent certain things. So when it comes to awareness weeks or awareness months, a portion of that color will go to the chosen thing. So like when it comes to cystic fibrosis awareness, the yellow wrist wraps, a portion of the sales will go to that. And then breast cancer awareness, the pinks and reds will then go to that. Mind will be, I think it's blue. So when it comes to that, when it comes to Pride months, every color will then go towards something, just to like actually give back, and it not just be about that capitalist mindset of like, I need to make the most money and take over the, no, actually give back. Like you said, give back, because then if you put that energy out into the world and you put that energy out into the universe,
the world gives it back to you.
The world gives it back to you. So it's not me doing it to be like, I love, no, it's because actually deep down in my core, that's what I want to do. I want to give back. I want to help. I want to do as much as I can, be it something so little. But I think those are the next logical steps in my mind to keep it rolling. I know at some point it will plateau and there'll be like a moment where I'm like, oh, what do I do next? But
I'm looking forward to when I can get my wrist apparel t-shirt, my wrist apparel baseball cap, and all of that jazz. I'll be looking forward to it.
That one day will happen, but just keeping it quiet.
I don't do enough wrist. I don't do enough weight work to be able to warrant having any. But I think I can. I think that you're right. The growth needs to be organic. Now's not necessarily the time that you're going to get massive traction because no gyms are open. But I think that definitely with the support and help from everybody, then, you know, like you say, the vibes you put into the world and the universe, they will come back to you. And I think that the spirit behind what RIS is about is definitely something which is, you know, helping to support, not just from a physical aspect, but everything, knowing what you're like is, you know, the support of the community, the fitness community, the local charities, and the, you know, national awarenesses and stuff like that. I just think it's a really good thing to be doing. So, you know, do definitely, you know, you'll be hearing lots more about this, you know, viewers, as we go through. But you will see and hear a lot more from Stu and the RIS Apparel brand. So one of the other things as well, which I want to try and do with every guest, is your recommendations on what people can do. So I call this like the senses challenge. Okay, so the senses challenge is about something you can either like see or smell or taste or touch. If you can do something for all of them, then that'd be great. But if not, then what would your senses challenge be for people to go and try something different? So as an example, there's like, my one is to go and listen to something like the Jay Shetty On Purpose podcast. I love it, like literally love it. It gives me a sense of well-being, sense of mindfulness, and just shows me a different side of spirituality in a way that is not like I'm a Christian or I'm a you know, Jewish or whatever. It's you know, it's just about spirituality in general and living the best purpose, like living your best purpose. So I like that. Tasting something different. So there's a chef called Gaz Oakley. He's from Wales, but he is also known as the Avant-Garde Vegan. So he's got a whole collection of recipes and cookbooks, and again, Instagram, go and check it out, the Avant-Garde Vegan. And it is awesome. Like that was our Christmas dinner this year, was a vegan Wellington, and it was phenomenal. So it's along those sorts of lines. Is there something that you love that you would recommend for other people to do?
To do with like listening, just listen to something or watch something that is really out of your zone. So if you're not into, or something which will challenge you, something which really challenges you, whether you think you're open-minded or not, and you're very worldly, watch something which would challenge your perception of things. So like going on to Netflix and looking through the documentaries and looking for types of things like The Disclosure, where it talks about trans representation, watching the likes of like 13, which is all about Black culture and how they've been oppressed for all these years. Find those things which are going to challenge you.
Yeah.
Not just allow you to stay in this little bubble of a world. And then another one would be, well, so that's like sort of learning, listening, watching. Another one is like, I know it sounds really silly, it's like go for a walk and just listen to what's going on. Get familiar with your area, like the area, like listen to the changes, listen to realize that actually the moment you take a step back and open your mind to not your world and you just listen, it really like centers you in the sense of saying like, it's like that Google Maps thing. If you like pinpoint where you are and then pull out, then you see actually you're like a speck, like you're a grain of sand in the biggest things. So sometimes like we'll go for a walk around the river and you'll walk underneath the George Street Bridge and you're just like, wow, like I've never actually stopped and looked at it or listened to it or thought about the area we live in. Or like you said, Corporation Road is full of so many different ethnicities and backgrounds that just hearing people's voices is like, oh, this is what I live around. So I think that's a listen, which is quite a nice one in the sense of just listen to what you live around. Listen to it, understand what's around you, just so that you open up a little bit more to knowing your local area. So
nice. I like it. So go out and listen. You don't look down at your phone. Look at the world around you. Listen to your world in your area and learn. And then challenge your perceptions by maybe watching something you wouldn't normally watch.
So there's a couple of people who I follow on Instagram who talk about mindset and all that type of stuff. So my friend India, she's the energy coach on Instagram, and she what she talks about is very like spiritual and using the world to sort of help yourself heal, and that's how I see it. Like you'll see from her Instagram. And then there's a lady from the gym called Lulu Batty, and she does I think her Instagram's RPM, and it's about mindset and how you can use the mind to then create positive ways of working, living, being. And it's like she's more sports based, but it's the fact that she'll put things out which are just help you get through a day or something like that. There are the ones which I'm like, you've got to just search those things out, and just even if you listen to it in the background or have their story roll through and just listen to them, it is really interesting. So all about learning for me.
Hopefully the next time we see you, you will be able to get involved. Leave us comments down below. Tell us what you've been watching. Tell us what you want us to be able to go and try ourselves as well, because we are just as open to doing this senses challenge as what you are as well. And we really look forward to being able to take the next step in the Being More Pineapple journey.
Exactly.
I want to say a massive thank you to Stuart for being a part of the first episode. You will be seeing a lot more of him as well in future episodes. So we are going to be now partners in crime as the two founding members of the Being More Pineapple family. So there will be links, like I say, to all of our socials. The full length of this will be found on YouTube, with shorter versions being found on Instagram and Facebook. We are also going to be running the weekly challenge. So Stu will have a challenge for us based on something that he does on pretty much a weekly basis, daily basis anyway. So Stu, we are going to be posting this out for people to post what they have been able to achieve based on your challenge. So what is your Facebook challenge for the viewers?
My challenge for people is, within the gym, we've there's this new positive plan which has been put out, and it's about changing habits within your life to make it slightly better. So my challenge for any of you is just to incorporate one bit of exercise, whether it be going for a mile run around the block, whether it be going for a little walk up the river, whether it be I'm going to walk up my stairs 5 times. Something you can do easily, which just natural challenges, just to add something into your life, to give you that moment to relax, to switch off, to get away from the computer if you're working all day. Plan it into your day so that you say, oh, okay, my lunch hour is this. I've actually got an hour. I'm doing half of it to eat. What's the other half an hour doing? If you're on your phone all the time, put your phone down, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Do something which gets you moving. Anything. That is my challenge for you, to do one thing daily which is not sat at the computer.
Nice. If you want to stay in contact, please send us a direct message via Instagram on Being More Pineapple. Me and Stu will be manning that to be able to have a little look through, ready for the next episode. If you want to be able to send us an email, then you can do. It might be about something that you want to be able to share with us, and we can then look at creating more content around that. If you want to be able to join the community, the Being More Pineapple community, please head over to Facebook, to the Being More Pineapple Facebook page, where you can then post your challenge videos and pictures, and find the long version of this conversation on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So, until next time, this is Rob, the Weller Hair Guy, sending you peace and love.
And this is Stu, doing the same. A little bit of madness thrown in there as well.
So, we will see you on the flip side. Take it steady, peace and love, and see you next time. Ciao.
Bye.